You are listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. I'm Elena Paweta, Executive Communication Coach and TEDx organizer. With each episode, I'll share with you communication tips and ideas from top business leaders to help you excel in your career. Welcome to the next episode of Ideas and Leaders podcast. Today I'm speaking with Irene Riad. She's the founder of SIGHTcet, the Self-Mastery Coaching Institute. And today we will speak about how to find your legacy purpose and how to become clear on who you are. Hi, Irene. It's great to have you on Ideas and Leaders.
Hi, Elena. It's a privilege to be with you. So happy to be here.
So let's start by telling our listeners your story. How did you get to become a speaker, a coach, and supporting others on their journey?
Yeah. So to start, well, let me say, like 20 years ago, I was in a totally different life situation. Corporately, I was doing well, rising the corporate ranks. So in training, coaching came in around 10 years ago, working in different organizations. But personally, I had very big setbacks in life where it's made me start to ask the question, what it is that I really wanted to leave in this world. And then it became, well, what it is that I want to live now so that I can actually build the world that I want to leave behind. So working from communications, that's bachelor degree, moving into human resources. Coaching came in, which almost kind of saved my life around 10 years ago. Professionally doing all the programs and becoming certified with ICF, currently a PCC coach, and doing different modalities of coaching. And receiving coaching is what allowed me to grow from the setback, use my setback actually as a bouncing board to become the professional and the whole more well-rounded, which is an ongoing pursuit that I would love to as well serve others with.
Great. What a great journey. So I know that you help many people, and what are the challenges that people come to you most often?
Most often, the leaders that I work with are very high performing. So they are really at the top of their game professionally. And the main area is, how do they make this more purposeful, more fulfilling, where they have the freedom to be who they are and expressing themselves without losing, and how they describe it, without losing professional impact or results, which they've worked very hard for. And definitely nobody would want to lose getting the results. But how do they do it feeling that they are owning their life, living a life that has fulfillment, purpose? I like to call it creating a legacy, but they come with that kind of need.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, it is interesting that you are speaking about this, because I can relate to this so much. And I think that many of our listeners can relate to this as well, because we are having some goals on an everyday basis, our KPIs, we need to do, we need to finish some projects. But then in the end, we ask ourselves, so what? So what? I finished this big project, I received this, I have this big certification, or I'm earning a lot of money. So what? And I think that it is very important, this legacy that you are speaking about. And many people at a certain point in their careers, they start asking themselves how to get there, how to feel that I have this legacy. So can you give us some tips on how we can start actually thinking about it?
Yeah, so I think what you're describing resonates as well with me. And there's a lot of research that says the first middle of life, like the first half of your life, you're kind of building that career, profession. Carl Jung, the psychologist, says we build our ego, personality, who we are in the world. So we build it. And then he says the second half is about letting it go, letting that picture perfect of who you think you are, letting it go to really embody who you truly are. And it sounds a little bit theoretical, but you asked for some tips and tools. The very first thing you'll realize that it's kind of already being nurtured in you or cultivated is your whispers when you are alone. The inner voice when you're alone, and usually that means having some space. So a tip is actually cultivating, creating as a creative space, I call it, for you, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but that space, because you need to get quiet a little bit. If you're always busy, with people, with social media, you will not hear it. So one of the key things is, do you have a creative space where you're just alone? It could be in nature, away from the PC, away from it. Alone doesn't mean you working alone. It just means away from all the outer notifications, triggers, and then noticing what's happening in your body. Because we are thinkers, and usually high performers are very active mental thinkers. I resonate with that too. Read a lot of books and listen to a lot of webinars, and that's great. But when you're trying to cultivate, so what? So what? Who am I? And you drown out some of that, and it takes practice. Sometimes you can only do it 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but just start, and you drown it out by doing something away from the triggers. You will start to hear what is more meaningful in your life. Why are you doing all of this? And some of it is not clear. You might not know, but that's the start, is actually creating that space where you realize, if I don't have email, I don't have a phone, I don't have these notifications coming in, who am I? Why am I doing all this? With practice, you start to hear answers.
Yeah, I think that it is, I really like that you are mentioning that being alone, it doesn't mean working alone or sitting with your smartphone on LinkedIn or Instagram or any other social media, because this is what we do when we are alone and we have this quiet moment all by ourselves. We're like, okay, maybe I will check my emails. Maybe I will see what's going on under my Instagram post, or, you know, and so on and so on. So we are never actually alone. So what you recommend is doing those alone reflection moments. And so when we are alone, what exercises or tools do you recommend to start getting those answers? And another question is, what questions should we ask to get the answers?
Yes. So one of the first things, what shall we do? I say, tune into your body, meaning, how are you feeling? How am I feeling? Ask yourself the question, how am I feeling? And if you're able to tune into your body, so it's not easy for everybody, meaning, how is your shoulders feeling? How is your heart feeling? How is your legs feeling? Twist around. Do you feel aches anywhere? Why I ask to do that, or what I do it is to step away from the mind. Because I think one of the biggest struggles is to step away from the thinking mind. And we need to start to sense in a different way through feeling. Intuition starts to come, but intuition won't come before we start feeling. How am I feeling today? And how am I feeling about myself? I'm a firm believer that the more we connect with how am I feeling about me, how am I feeling about Elena, how am I feeling about, like if you're Elena, how am I feeling about Elena, how am I feeling about Irene? I ask myself, who is Irene? So that question, who am I, is such a simple question. There's nothing complicated about the tool. Who am I? Away from the titles. So if you ask yourself, if you take a walk, tune into your body, a place where you can maybe just hear the birds chirp, a place where you can be in nature, be outside as best as possible. Usually that's better. And then if you ask yourself, who am I, 5 times, more than that if you want, see what answers come up. Initially, you'll start to see your titles. I'm a mom, I'm a partner, I'm this title, I'm that. I will ask yourself again when there is no title, who am I? What am I here to do? What is my work? These 3 questions. Who am I? And ask it 5 times until till no title. It's not about title. What will come up? Some people in the end, when we practice this, they may say, I am peace. I am love. I'm the air. Because you need to go in your body, not thinking. And it doesn't need to make sense. Creativity doesn't need to make sense. So I say creative space. Imagine you're a child and you ask a 4-year-old, who am I? Sometimes they're trained now to say my name, but they may say whatever they can imagine. So creative space in your body. Who am I? What am I here? And what is my work?
Okay, so we should ask ourselves, who am I? Why am I here? What is my work? I think that this is so powerful because actually we don't think about ourselves other than titles. And when someone asks, what do you do during some networking sessions? You're like, okay, I'm a coach, I'm a PhD in this and that, I'm a marathon runner, I'm a mom, and we are not even going deep enough. We don't know what is our purpose. We are just naming the names of our certifications and our studies and the places that we lived, which in fact doesn't tell much about ourselves, right? So when we go deeper and we know those answers, and we maybe think that we know, because I think that it is also hard to distinguish the what we're thinking, the mind, from actually our intuition. But so when we get some answers, what usually do you do with your clients when they get those answers? How do you what is the next step? How do they follow this legacy purpose?
It is a process. So usually when I work with my clients, it's not less than 6 months. So it's a process because it's about bringing such questions a bit to the surface and helping them go deeper. And if these exercises, usually they're more powerful when you're writing. So if you have a little journal, who am I? And you write until it becomes no title less. And then what am I here for? What is my work, or why am I here? Now, once these questions help to go a little deeper, another question that takes a little bit step forward is, if there's one thing you would love to change about the world, what would it be? And again, this could take time. It's not answered all in one day or one seating. I could ask that question a few times. Usually I ask them in their walk or when they have that creative space, if there's one thing about this world that you would love to change, what would it be? Usually people have more than one thing. I just write what comes to your mind. And that's where they release a little bit more of that creative intuition, creative space. And people go into big things, bigger than themselves. And one thing I just say, as you do that, know that your inner critic or your ego will bring up all the red flags and say, this is never possible. And I ask them, tell their ego, thank you very much, we'll come to that. I'm just now playing a creative role. And then there's a process of, I call individuation, which we help the person become conscious of what's very deep inside them that they're pushing away, and allowing that to come, because we have so many critics in our heads, limited beliefs, patterns. That's the first step of knowing that we have those things. That's not who we are. We have inner critics. We have patterns. We have thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that also the thing that is stopping many people from doing something that they want to change in the world is the way that they are used to earn money, and the way they work. For example, some people they if they work in finance, let's say in accounting, and this is what they do for their whole life, but then they say, okay, I want to, I don't know, change, that there is more peace in the world or less hunger in the world, and okay, I want to do that, but it is not in line with actually what I do on the everyday basis. So do you have such situations, and how to solve them?
Yeah. So recognizing that we have a profession to earn a living and to bring in income, it's not to delete it. We keep that. Then how do we translate peace in the world? What is my role? Let's say that is a financial profession person and they come up with, I really would love to have more peace in the world. We define what is peace for them. It means something different for each person. Where in their community could they tap into that they could provide more peace? It's finding where could they be of service towards that bigger thing that they would love in the world, because we cannot jump big right away. So we keep your profession. Where could you provide more peace in your profession? We could explore all the different communities, because I could be working in a company, but I have this social community, this spiritual community, this other, I could be in a yoga community, a hobby community. We have many communities. If we just open up and recognize I'm not just one title, I have a family community, just we help the person realize that they have more impact than they think. And in each of them, where could peace be? What is peace for them? What would it look like? What would you be doing? If you're bringing more peace, how would you serve in that way? And it will look very different for each person. Even if it's peace for 10 of them, it will look very different. And so helping that person connecting their role with another role that they would want to serve in. And that helps them expand the impact that they bring to the world. Here. It could be similar or it could be different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could share my story and my transformation here a little bit, because for when I was working a lot in the nonprofit area. For example, I was in some nonprofit organizations. For example, I was organizing TEDx events, and still I am organizing TEDx events. And I was all the time saying that, yes, I want to bring more ideas to the community. It is so valuable. And it was very important for me to let people like free their voice, speak with impact on big stages. And after a couple of years of doing this, I went through this transformation myself, that I started also doing this for business, and I started coaching people on how to speak on big stages, on how to become TEDx speakers, on how to speak with more impact. And I feel that I am still doing the same, so that I'm fulfilling this purpose, I'm giving people opportunity, I'm freeing their voices, and they are speaking on big stages and sharing their amazing ideas, but still I am also earning money from this. So it is, I think that many people have this barrier, and I had it for many years as well, that when we're doing something to change the world, we need to do it for free. But it is not always like that. So I think that it is also very important to find this purpose and to connect it somehow with what you can do and what are your talents and how you can support others and also earn money.
Absolutely, because often the people who actually think about making a big impact and serving are people who are leading with their humanity, leading with this love that they want to spread. And in many ways, like me, when I wanted to reach more people, I felt, well, I need to do that without really charging that much. How could I be a spiritual, humanistic leader, kind of how I want to be known for, but then charge people and not charge lightly. I mean, I charge what I think I'm worth. And it was almost like a paradox in my head. And it's through this process that I coach with people, understanding what am I pushing? Why am I pushing money? Why am I pushing to be paid? What does money mean? What does being paid mean to me? And it goes back to how money was used in the family, how the media kind of maybe shows people who are rich looking this. What I've internalized something where money became not seen as, for good. Obviously, things change when you have a healthy understanding that the more money you have, the more people you could serve. Also, the opposite. You don't have any money, you cannot serve more people. You cannot reach more people. So if you're looking at your legacy, the service that you want to bring, look at it as the tool, one of the tools that will help you is resources that we use in this world is money. So how are you going to serve more people? It's figuring out how that service really would be of value and who would value it so that you could reach more people and expand your legacy and service to places that cannot afford, and do that then voluntarily, lesser fee, in many ways, not being paid at all if you want.
Yes, of course, this is up to people to decide whether to do something for free in a non-profit organization as a volunteer or to do it for business. But yeah, I totally agree with you that money is another thing, how we can make an impact in the world and how we can fulfill our goals and make the world a better place. We can give a job to other people, we can hire people, and
absolutely,
give to charity and do so many more amazing things. So Irene, to finish our conversation, I wanted to ask you for tips to our listeners. So what do you recommend to people who are listening to us, who want to find their legacy purpose? What are the main steps, how they can approach it?
So I would say one of the key things is if they can access a questionnaire I have on my website. It's free, and it's just a start to help tickle who they are and what they're pushing. Why I say this helps with legacy, because usually when we understand who we are as a personality, but then what are we pushing? You will start to have some thoughts about what it is that you would love to bring to this world. A questionnaire could just help start tickle. And I actually offer that with this questionnaire, we could have a one-to-one that just deepens the understanding of how these two could be stopping your ability to think of broader, what is that legacy that you want? Or you might recognize it, that questionnaire, you might have already done some work, and that would allow you to build on that. And they're both, I do it complementary because that's how I meet people. That's how I spread my news and how I spread working with others. But there's no obligation afterwards. Other than that, the question of who am I? What am I here to do? Is often allows you to go deeper than the question about what's my purpose. Because what's my purpose? It is a very good question. You could ask it yourself, but it might be too big all of a sudden, because for me, I wasn't sure what is my purpose, but I was digging on who am I? What am I here to do? And if I ask that question enough, in every situation, what am I here to do? What am I here to serve? Because it's being and doing. Who am I? Lead with being. Who am I? And what am I here to do? And I guarantee this question, when it becomes part of maybe every event you go to, if you're going to a networking event, if you're going to a business meeting, who am I in this meeting? What am I here to provide? What am I here to serve? It'll show up slightly different depending on the context, but these two questions will guide your path towards that legacy. It will unfold, because I wish I had a clear-cut answer that you'll ask that question, you'll get the answer. It's an unfolding process, which is what I love about the journey.
Yes, and yeah, this is amazing but we need to make this first step and to start this journey inside ourselves. So thank you very much, Irene, for inspiring us to start this journey. And I will definitely do this exercise and ask the questions to myself. And if we want to reach out, if we want to contact you, where can we find you?
Absolutely. So LinkedIn is a great place in terms of social media, Instagram as well, and my website. And I could provide you, our website is www.SIGHTcet.com.
Perfect. We will put all of those links under this episode in the show notes. So if you're interested to contact Irene, then just jump there in the show notes and find the links. Thank you so much, Irene. It was a pleasure talking to you. Very inspiring and deep conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elena. It was an absolute pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. Did you enjoy this episode? Let me know that you listened by tagging me in your LinkedIn profile and using a hashtag Ideas and Leaders. See you in the next episode.